Do you really believe in miracles? Jesus goes off into a desert place, and thousands of people follow Jesus into the wilderness. And they're with him for 3 days. They must have slept out in the open. If you had been there when Jesus fed that multitude, and you pictured the scene, you saw people coming on homemade push carts. You see people carrying their friends on their backs. And you see people whose bodies are all crippled up. And you see all these miracles. And then you say, I will never doubt God again. Look at the cripples leaping and jumping. Look at the blind. Their eyes are being opened. The deaf are hearing and screaming and rejoicing. Jesus said to his disciples, I won't send them away hungry. We're going to feed them. 5 loaves and fishes are turned into food to feed the multitude. And you watch Jesus feed all these multitudes. Jesus tells his disciples, pick up the fragments. They picked up those 12 baskets. I wonder if they understood. After about 50, 100 baskets, the miraculous is gone. It just looks so natural. 1 piece of bread at a time. And they're so busy coming and going. And it's very clear when you read this account. They missed the miracle. They picked up 12 baskets of fragments. I suppose they were meant to Jesus to show them something. But Jesus, who knows the hearts, he knew these men did not get it. And they didn't see or understand it. Jesus takes his disciples aside. He takes them down to the seaside. He constrained them. He forced them into a boat. They don't get it. They still don't believe. They've seen the greatest miracle and they don't understand. He said, get in the boat. Just go. Go to the other side. And so they head out. And in the middle of the night, the storm came, and Jesus went to them walking on the water. The Bible said they thought it was a spirit. It was a ghost, and they cried out. They saw him, and they were troubled. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, of a truth, you're the Son of God, because the wind stopped. Now you say, oh, now they believe. He calmed the ocean. Now they're worshiping him. Now they're calling him the Son of God. Now they understand. They believe in miracles. No, not at all. In Mark, there's an account of this same event that suggests that this did not open up their faith. Mark said they were sore afraid beyond measure, for they did not understand, for their heart was hardened. And the word there is calloused, thick-skinned. In spite of all the miracles, God's closest associates, those who were closest to the heart of Jesus, did not understand the miracle of the loaves. You can say, I believe in miracles. I believe that God can do the impossible, and still be emotionally hardened to the truth of it. So Jesus takes them into another lesson. This is at a later date, another episode. And this time 4,000 people are there. And Jesus says, I'm going to feed them. This time he is convinced that these men are going to understand and they're going to believe. This time they take up 7 baskets full of fragments. And once again, Jesus says, get in a boat. They're going to cross the boat, cross the sea to Magdala. Jesus, knowing their unbelief, he said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and scribes. And these disciples go into panic. Who forgot the bread? And they're talking to one another. And the Bible said there was 1 loaf. And these men arguing. Jesus is wondering where our bread is. And Jesus looks at these men, and this is what he said. Don't you yet understand? Don't you remember the 5 loaves and 5,000? How many baskets you took up? Do you not remember the 7 loaves and the 4,000 and the baskets you took up? And listen to what Jesus said. How is it you still don't understand? You have seen miracle after miracle. And I've done so many miracle things in your life. You don't understand. Now, why does Jesus connect their unbelief with the loaves and the fishes? Why didn't he think about the healing of the lepers? What about the man that came down through the roof, couldn't walk, and he got up and walked? And all these miracles had happened before this occasion. Didn't recall any of those. He tied their unbelief strictly to the loaves and the fishes. We go back to Mark 15 and examine why Jesus refers to these 2 miracles. And it says this. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, because they continue with me for 3 days, they have nothing to eat. And here's the key. I will not send them away fainting. I will not let them faint on the way. I'm interested in you, just the multitude. You're my son, my daughter. I show you miracles of my power, but I'm a man of compassion, concerned about your welfare. I'm concerned about your finances. I'm concerned about your marriage. Yes, look up at the heaven, the sun and the moon and stars. And I know you're hungry, and I know you're about to faint, and I'm not going to let that happen to you. You will trust me. It's all about you. I love for you. That's what Jesus is saying. You trust me to still the winds and the waves. He said, remember the loaves and the fishes. So you have to partake of the miracle. meet your need when you start seeking His faith. Do you really believe in miracles? Do you remember praying for something? Did you forget it? He did not forget it the moment you asked Him in faith. I believe Jesus answers prayer.